Now I'd like to introduce today's special guest. This particular luncheon is always a highlight of the Canadian Club season, and today we present our Canadian of the Year Award. Every year since 1992, we have chosen people who quite simply stand out. Whether they stand out as business people, as cultural leaders, as Torontonians, whatever it might be, they stand out as Canadians. And this year, it's a source of particular pride to me that our co-winners are all of those things. They're business people, they're cultural leaders, they're Torontonians, and most important, they're absolutely outstanding Canadians. Tony Gagliano and David Pecaut could easily, on the strength of their individual accomplishments, merit an invitation to our podium. And in fact, David has done so on 2 earlier occasions. Tony is Executive Chairman of CEO in St. Joe's Communications, the largest privately owned communications company in Canada and one of North America's most dynamic communication enterprises. He's extremely well known for his work in the area of communications and the environment, partnering with Scouts Canada to help plant hundreds of thousands of trees across this country. His environmental activism helped St. Joseph's win the prestigious Financial Post Award for Environmental Excellence. David is extremely well known in Toronto and to the Canadian Club members for his work on Toronto. As chair of the Toronto City Summit Alliance, he brings together civic leaders, opinion shapers, and decision makers to improve the social and economic conditions of our city. So we have 2 men doing great work, and now we have 2 men doing great work together. Last year, responding to what they saw was a need to help Toronto realize its creative and artistic potential, they launched Luminato, Toronto's festival of arts and creativity. The inaugural event attracted more than 1 million people to more than 100 events, encompassing a wide spectrum of creative expression, including music, dance, theater, film, and literature. By all accounts, it was a huge success, achieving what I consider to be a magnificent goal, which was, as the founders put it, to bring Toronto's light to the world and the world's light to Toronto. They will be doing it again this June, and it'll be an event I, for one, won't miss. For bringing Luminato to Toronto, for standing up for the environment, for this city, and for our country, Tony Gagliano and David Pecaut perfectly fit our view of what the Canadian Club of Toronto's Canadian of the Year should be. And so, Canadians of the Year, they are. Please join me in congratulating the 2008 Canadians of the Year. I'd now like to call on the chair of our Canadian of the Year Selection Committee, Jamie Watt, to say a few words about our award.
I was thinking today about what a wonderful country we live in, a country filled with so many community builders that go about their work every day, not expecting any recognition, satisfied only with the knowledge that when they go to bed at night that they've made this a better place. People that understand our connectivity and how we are all connected and related to each other. I recently heard Canada's chief astronaut, Steve McLean, talk about what it was like to lift off into space. And he talked about those last 9 minutes when they're in the space shuttle, getting ready to go, 9 minutes before the thrust of that engine's rocket will light up 100 square miles of the Florida sky. And a quiet, he told us, descended over the liftoff site. And the only 2 people that were allowed to talk to each other were the mission controller and the commander of the spaceship. And someone in the audience asked him, he said, Astronaut McLean, what did you think about then? And he said, I didn't expect it. But at that very moment, all the people who helped me get there came into my line of vision. My parents, my colleagues in the neuroscience practice, fellow astronauts, my kids, people that I knew in my daily life, my friends, the people that helped me get into my spacesuit that day. And he said at that very moment, I understood connectivity and our interconnectedness in a way that I had never understood it before. That's what this award is about. It's about celebrating people who understand how connected we are to each other, to our communities, and to Canada. And that's what these two men demonstrate more than anyone else, and that's why they're Canadians of the Year today. So that's why we have this award. That's why we're recognizing them. And who better to pay special tribute to the two people who've won this award than a very special guest. Please welcome to our podium the Premier of Ontario, our Premier, Dalton McGuinty.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jamie, for your very kind introduction. Our special award winners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends, thank you so much for joining us here today for this very important occasion. And it was with some trepidation that I learned that Jamie Watt was to introduce me here today. But it has been my experience that in dealing with Jamie, he is honest, decent, honorable, committed to his community, devoted to the greater public interest, which begs the question, why is he not a Liberal? Ladies and gentlemen, spring has finally arrived, and we are just a couple of months away from the return of Luminato, and the excitement and the energy are building. I was saying a few moments ago that we've just come through an absolutely gorgeous spring weekend. Terry and I took the opportunity to visit Blue Mountain. There's still a ton of snow up there. I've been saying that this winter has been like my mother on my wedding day. She just didn't want to let go. Much to Terry's chagrin. The Luminato website tells us, and I quote, Luminato was created to bring Toronto's light to the world and the world's light to Toronto. Well, today I want to thank all of you for being here to help pay tribute to the energy behind that light. Luminato's creators, David Pecaut and Tony Gagliano. Rabbi Michael Strassfeld once said, light gives of itself freely, filling all available space. It does not seek anything in return. It asks not whether you are friend or foe. It gives of itself and is not thereby diminished. David and Tony, you are two bright lights for this city of ours. Luminato is only the latest candle you've lit for Toronto and for our great province. Your passion for the arts and innovation is legendary. You know, David originally came to us from Iowa, which goes to show you really can produce unlimited energy from corn. David is a guy who never backs away from a challenge and never backs down from a fight. David, you work hard with the City Summit Alliance. You were there to promote Toronto after the dark summer of SARS and our blackout, and you continue to strengthen this community, your home, even as you face challenges of your own. You are truly deserving of the title Canadian of the Year. Congratulations. And Tony, it wasn't long ago I was congratulating you for being honored with the Words and Deeds Award. I said then that your words and deeds are making a difference. You took a small family printing business and turned it into what it is today, one of Canada's largest communications and media corporations, a dynamic, innovative company providing good jobs and inciting careers for thousands of people. That means there are thousands of Ontario families who have every reason to be hopeful and optimistic about their future because of your work and your leadership. You've personally been involved with so many Toronto landmarks, from St. Michael's Hospital to the Art Gallery of Ontario and, of course, the Canadian Club. Luminato is yet one more shining achievement in a long list of accomplishments, and that's why you deserve the title Canadian of the Year. Congratulations, Tony. Gentlemen, in everything you've done, you've shown passion, tenacity, and innovation. Each of you is constantly trying to find a new way to reach people, a new way to make Ontario just a little bit better. And that's exactly what Luminato does. In its first year, Luminato brought together over 1 million visitors, over 1,800 artists, and some 500 volunteers, and you made it look easy. You showed us what happens when culture and innovation come together. And now we have a wonderful new institution. Our city wakes up after waiting out the dark winter, and Luminato is there to usher in the light of the summer. So now we can all shake up our routines by seeing a dance troupe in the afternoon, a play on the weekend, or adding new titles to our summer reading lists. Luminato is about meeting new people from around the world or around the corner. It's about enjoying art and culture in a unique setting. It's about experiencing the city in a new way. It's that vision that we're celebrating today, the vision of our friends Tony and David. That's why I am so pleased to announce our support on behalf of all Ontarians for Luminato. We are proud to invest $15 million more to help Luminato attract more people and book the best talent from around the world. Thank you. I want to thank all those who contributed so much to making Luminato successful, including the hundreds of artists, the volunteers, the luminaries and other donors, the sponsors, the Festival Advisory Committee and Board, the municipal and federal governments, and Janice Price, the CEO, and her great team of staff. Luminato is a truly exceptional artistic and cultural achievement. It enhances our quality of life, and it's good for our economy. Mon gouvernement croit dans le pouvoir des arts, la culture pour attirer les investissements. Et nous croyons dans le soutien de l'innovation, qu'il s'agisse du secteur de la haute technologie, celui des communications ou encore ceux des arts et de la culture. My government believes in the power of arts and culture to attract investment, and we believe in supporting innovation, whether in the high-tech sector, the auto sector, agriculture, or the arts. We understand. A vibrant city is more than just roads and buildings and good shopping. A great city is also defined by its music, its culture, its art, and the occasions we create to celebrate these things simply because they enrich the enjoyment of our lives. Luminato pulls it all together. Luminato pulls us together. And in a just-in-time world where we are often too driven to notice the simple beauty of human creativity, it's nice to be pulled together to celebrate it. Over 2,000 years ago, Plato put it this way when he said, Tell me who writes a nation's songs, for I care not who writes its laws. We're fortunate in Ontario to have people who care deeply about our songs, our art, our culture, our creativity. People like Tony and David. Gentlemen, would you please join me for presentation of your awards? And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating our Canadians of the Year.
We were honored to have Premier McGuinty here with us today, taking time out of his schedule. Thank you very kindly, Premier, for joining us this afternoon. He must leave to attend question period right now, so no. These questions would probably be a lot more fun for you. No, thank you kindly for coming. Much appreciated. I'm now very proud to introduce another creative force in Canada in Albert Schultz. Albert is uniquely qualified as General Director of Young Centre for the Performing Arts and co-founder of Soul Pepper Theatre Company to interview Tony and David about creativity, business, and Luminato. Albert?
Good to see you. Thank you, Alan. Can everyone hear me? Yes, did that come on? Great. It's a real honor to be up here with you guys. I've sat around some more nervous afternoons than you. I remember just a short time ago, Janice, and those of us who were on the artistic advisory, just a short time ago that we were saying, should we do it in 2007? Can we do it in 2007? These guys, of course, said yes. We can and we must, and you did. And it was and is an extraordinary achievement. I want to talk about two other groups that haven't been mentioned yet, two groups that center around these men. I know that Tony Gagliano has two of his kids are here today. Michael and Krista are here. Where are you? Now, Michael and Krista are here, but I want to point out that their brother Guy Anthony isn't, because Guy Anthony has a dress rehearsal of his school play that he would not give up. And this just proves that the Gagliano family trait of commitment to the arts is alive and strong in the next generation, so I congratulate him for that. Your brother Frank is also here, Tony, and of course your wife Lena is here. So we thank all of you, but before we do that, I want to say that David's wife Helen is here. Amy, Sarah, and Rebecca, three of his daughters, are here. And his brother Dan and wife Kay are here from Sioux City, Iowa, to see this. So to all of the families, I know for a fact that much family time was sacrificed in the achievement of this vision, and we thank particularly Lena and Helen for lending us these two great Canadians over the last couple of years. On the subject of family, I'm also really thrilled that we're doing this at the Royal York because I share something in common with it. You are a first-generation Canadian, and you are of American stock. My parents, both American, got married in New Jersey and spent the first night of their honeymoon. So one could say that this generation of my family began in this hotel. In 1957, 1 year after, Tony, your father started his company on St. Clair, a small printing press for the Italian community, and turned it, your father Gaetano turned it into this amazing little family business that you're running now. David, of course, came up from Sioux City, Iowa. You permanently, then in sort of 1988, was it? And,
yes.
And since then, you two have made an extraordinary contribution. And it's on this theme of, I find this very interesting, Tony, I've heard you talk a lot, maybe we'll go to you first, about being the child of immigrants, being someone where you've discovered, your parents discovered, and you have discovered with them something extraordinary about this country and about this city. And before we get specifically to Luminato, could you talk a little bit about that? What is it that has inspired you to your extraordinary citizenship?
Thank you, Albert, and thanks for being here today. Not only is Albert a great friend of David and I, but also of this country and the arts and the city, and is one of the pillars of this community, and has done an incredible amount for the community. When I think back at how we started Luminato, this guy was right there at the table when the idea was given birth, not when the festival was launched, but 4 years before that. Thanks, Albert. Just in regards to what it means to me, I mean, it's the perspective, I guess. So my father raised us with the perspective of build great communities, and you'll have, out of those communities, a great life, and maybe great business as well, but you'll have a great life. And not to just think about a great life first and see what happens with the community. So it's with that right from the earliest days where he came here as a very poor immigrant, a farmer from southern Italy right after the war, where he could hardly feed his family anymore and decided that he needed to do something, and he chose Canada, thank God, and came here and started planting roots. I've got 9 siblings in the family, a large family. And right from the earliest days, his belief was, you know, whatever he was making, his first job, he made $22 a week laying down rail for CP Rail. $20 would go to feed his family and pay the rent and hydro, and $2 would go to charity back then. And so it was, you know, make a long story short, 53 years later, it's pretty well the same model that's used, and now it's used with all of us, my 9 siblings, all of the next generation as well for the organization. And we use that as a model, and we try to stay focused on building great communities, and out of those great communities, we now have great lives. You know, we have a great business. It's pretty well turned out the way he told us it would.
Well, that's great. And now the Canadian Club is feeding your family, which is wonderful. Well, that's great. And David, from Sioux City, Iowa, you were educated at Harvard. You come to Toronto. You're senior partner at Boston Consulting Group. But we are really recognizing you today. We know you as much more than that, the chair of the Toronto City Summit Alliance. And Luminato is just one fruitful branch of that burgeoning project of yours. So what is it to you as an American coming here, as an immigrant, if I will, what is it about this city that inspires you?
I guess for me, Toronto is all about how the world has to live in the future together. We are this incredible, diverse community of people from all over the world. You know, 44% of the GTA is foreign-born, like me. And to me, it's an experiment. It's an ongoing civic experiment. And as a civic experiment, it seems to me that we have the opportunity to show the world what cities really can be. And, you know, it comes back almost to citizenship. I think, you know, sometimes we think of citizenship as the ability to vote, the responsibility of paying taxes. But to me, that's the lowest common denominator. Real citizenship for all of us are these civic projects that we do together. And Luminato has been a huge collective project with hundreds of people like yourself and the other leaders in the community involved. And to me, that's as good as it gets in life, I think, is creating those things. My mother said to me when she died, just before she died 11 years ago, she said, David, she said, you've had a fabulous career in business, she said, but you will not be sitting on your deathbed remembering that. She said, you'll be remembering what you did with other people to make this a better world. And I think just like Tony's family, that was just instilled in us from birth.
Well, it's obvious that you've been given very good examples, because you're a great example to all of us. I have a couple of things here. Anyone with a license plate? No, I'm not kidding. That was a question. What I'm going to do at this point, as we segue into Luminato specifically, I'm going to read something, and I'm going to read it as opposed, because I think I have to get this right. Can I skip that?
Yeah, you can skip it.
Okay, I'm going to skip that. Everyone knows about Luminato, an amazing thing. What I love about it is that the first meeting started around lunch at Roberto Martello's amazing place, Grano. There's so many great cultural things to do in this city. So, Roberto, thank you for another great meal that has led to so many things. So I want to... This, as you both mentioned, this project, this amazing accomplishment, is not a solo effort, nor is it a duo effort. This is something that you've had to enlist the energies of many, many people in the community. Can you talk a bit about getting that many people together? Who wants to start?
I'll jump in there a
You
little
jump
bit.
in.
So after Tony and I had that wonderful lunch with Roberto, which went on for several hours, as you know, with Roberto, he just keeps it going and flowing. We realized that something this large and complex required really the whole city to get behind. So one of the first stops we made was to visit with all the artistic leaders in the city. And actually, that was probably the most exciting period, was coming to folks like you and Matthew Teitelbaum and William Thorsell and Bill Boyle and people who had deep experience in producing the arts that grace the city and getting people enthused about working together. And as you said, I think in one of our early meetings, you all know each other really well. You all go to each other's artworks and performances, but rarely does everybody work on something together. And I think that was an extremely exciting challenge. And of course, we reached out eventually to everyone in the theater community. David Mervish is here today and many others. The second part, of course, was getting people to believe and put up funding and be wanting to be involved. And I think, Tony, both of us felt it was like a venture capital startup. We were going to people and saying, we want you to make a donation for this thing. Here's what it looks like. And it felt to me a lot like raising angel capital, because they were backing a dream and it had never happened before, and so on. So maybe I'll let you pick up there.
Okay, just before, on behalf of David and I, and I'll come to the question in a minute, I just want to thank all of you in this room for being here. And it's very important to us that you're here today to put a spotlight on Luminato. And we want to do something very special for all of you. This is a very important, very special gift. Rarely do we give this out. If you have your BlackBerry with you today, pull it out. Mark your dates, June 6th to the 15th, inclusive. Don't take any business meeting in the evening. Keep your schedule free and lock into the most incredible programming and have the time of your life. I can guarantee you that.
So David, my question is, was he a salesman for you? So Tony, you talked passionately in Banff at the Arts Summit last weekend about the investment that the arts make in the community. And in connection to what David was saying, maybe you can
Sure.
stump that one out for us.
Thanks, Albert. I mean, I'm a huge believer, I believe it with every bone in my body, that the greatest investment we can make for social and economic development and improvement in society is an incredible investment in creativity, an investment in the arts. And I believe that with every bone in my body, and I know that that will prove out. One of the things we mentioned to Mr. Cervera and the Premier was, we think this is going to be amongst the greatest investments this province ever makes. Investment in this community goes right back into social, economic improvement for this province, and I know it's going to be beyond as well. When it comes to collaborations, though, this was an incredible collaborative effort that I've ever undertook. And it starts with this guy here, David Pecaut, who outside of my wife Lena is my greatest partner. And it's a tremendous amount of effort that needed to be put into this. And let me tell you something. When you have a dream in your mind and you go out to individuals, some of which I've never met in my life, like Mr. Jim Bladlow, who's here today, and you tell him about this dream or this vision, and you ask him to inject in that his passion, his goodwill, all of his effort, and financially support it as well as a family, the good name of his family's reputation. And it's an idea, and comes forward with incredible support. And we have 43 other incredible families here in this province that did the exact same thing, gave considerable six-figure investment in Luminato, each one of these families, with passion, with goodwill. And they provided this incredible platform upon which David and I were maybe early on, but then Lucille Joseph, Janice Price, and Janice has built around her this incredible team of 25 young, energetic people that have built the vision and that have executed it in an incredible style. And last year was just a taste of that.
Now, these are all great things. Along the way, David, there must have been a challenge greater than any other. Can you name a challenge in putting this all together? There was, other than, when you and I went toe-to-toe.
Toe-to-toe on the vision stuff. No, I think actually when you say the word collaboration, the vision was a collaboration, right? That artistic advisory committee were deep into the question of how do we make this unique? We wanted a festival, all of us, Albert, that couldn't take place anywhere else. When someone from abroad came, they went, this festival couldn't be in Chicago and so on. I think the biggest challenge, to be honest, was getting the sponsors involved. Many of them were excited. The companies said, this looks fantastic. But again, they're writing large checks for something that hasn't happened. There were other people out there who said, let me talk to you after the first couple of years, right? So the boldness of L'Oreal to come in and make this an incredible sponsorship, TELUS, these other companies, I think that was probably the biggest challenge. And as some of you may know, we didn't have some of those locked up until 4 or 5 months before the festival. So you've pushed the button, the train is running, and you're still trying to get the money all locked in. So I felt like a real entrepreneurial thing,
Yeah, well, it was that. And I think a lot of us that run arts organizations in the room find it hard to believe that sponsorship was a difficulty for you, based on how extraordinarily well you've done, including the recent sponsorship of the Ontario government.
And I was going to say something about that. Ontario was the founding government partner, and they were the first one up in the original development phase. And
there's a cat named Sorbara there.
Greg Sorbara. He's the third amigo here, certainly with Tony and I. And I think Ontario's been a mainstay throughout. And, one of the things when we first talked to Ontario that I really liked is, they resonated with the fact that we haven't been successful in this city in getting an Olympics or a World's Fair or things like that. And what Tony and I said is, let's stop going around the world asking some international body to give us a great global event. Let's create one ourselves and have it every year. And that resonated with the province.
Then it's owned by those in the community that have made it happen.
Absolutely.
People in this room.
Yeah.
I have been told we have to wrap up, but I do want to ask you one last question, which is, if you can think out, and I'm sure both of you can, if you can think out 10 years and someone says Luminato, what is the resonance that you want people to have when they hear the word Luminato? You go first.
Two things. First is this most incredible celebration of the creative spirit that is taking place, that only started a few years earlier, about a decade earlier, where there's an incredible city that surrounds it when it takes place. And the city will be known 10 years from now as one of the most culturally rich and creative cities anywhere in the world. And I hope that a lot of the people in this room that are out doing your work, whether it's the AGO, whether it's the ROM, whether it's the National Ballet, the Royal Conservatory, Soul Pepper, dozens of initiatives, cobble all of these together, and it's going to make that dream a reality.
And for me, I think for the people of Toronto and Ontario and Canada, I'd love for people to feel it's their festival. They own it. It doesn't belong to some other agency or group. That it's wide open and everybody participates, and it remains highly accessible and mostly free, which it has to date. And internationally, I hope it's a symbol for what Toronto has 52 weeks a year, which is the most vibrant, creative, diverse city, where people not only are diverse in their popular makeup and tolerant, but they embrace that diversity through their creativity and their desire to know and create things together.
Well, those are great answers. And I can tell you that I'm pretty confident that 10 years out, when people say the word Luminato, two things that people will think are Tony Gagliano and David Pecaut. And that's something that you should both be very proud of, as you should be of all of your city-building initiatives. We thank you, and I personally congratulate you, and very proud to be sitting up here with the Canadians of the Year. We thank you for Luminato. We thank you for all your work. Have a wonderful year.
Thank you, Albert. Good friend. Thank you. Sit down.
Come on, yes.
Stay here.
Albert, on behalf of the Canadian Club, thank you very much for conducting that interview for us. We thought that was a little different way of doing it, and that worked out very well. So thank you very kindly. We're not finished yet. Just need a couple of more minutes. Have a very special message from the federal government, from the Federal Minister of Finance, who unfortunately was unable to be here. And he sends the following comments. On behalf of the Government of Canada, and as Minister of Finance and Minister responsible for the Greater Toronto Area, I'm pleased to congratulate Tony Gagliano and David Pecaut, the co-founders of the Luminato Festival, on their selection as the Canadian Club of Toronto's 2008 Canadian of the Year. This award is given in recognition of their profound effort in conceptualizing and bringing to fruition the Luminato Festival, which allows people in the Greater Toronto Area an opportunity to embrace the cultural excellence, creativity, and diversity of our arts community. Each of these gentlemen would be worthy of recognition solely for their successes in this regard. The Luminato Festival was and will continue to be an extraordinary addition to the cultural life in the Greater Toronto Area now and for years to come. However, the commitment to their city that led them to create Luminato has also driven them, for many years, to make incredible contributions to cultural, societal, humanitarian, health, and educational causes. They have provided exceptional opportunities for people throughout the Greater Toronto Area to prosper and benefit from all our country can offer. David and Tony are worthy recipients of the 2008 Canadians of the Year, and I want to personally congratulate the Canadian Club of Toronto for recognizing them. Best wishes and congratulations, Jim Flaherty. It's nice to be with somebody my own height.
Thank you. And we thank the federal government.
Thank you. Just as we wrap up, I'm very pleased to introduce Karen David and Rob Wells. Karen is getting a glass of water. Karen is a wonderful vocalist who will be a guest artist at the Canadian Songbook event at Luminato this year. Rob Wells is a pianist, songwriter, and producer. And now today we're honored to have Karen and Rob lead us in the Canadian National Anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for our National Anthem?
Thank you. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, our true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee, for thee. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen and Rob, and thank you all for coming today. Congratulations, David and Tony. Have a great afternoon.